Hello, how are you? Hope you all are doing well. I know you're studying and you need to study also. You are getting bored of these online classes. But children, you need to score good marks for your board exam, so you have to listen to your teachers. Now, today we are going to learn about the first phase of the Indian nationalist movement. In this lesson, we need to learn the objectives, methods of struggle of the early nationalist, and the great three prominent members like Dadabhai Nauroji, Surendranath Banerjee, and Gopalakrishna Gokhale. When we talk about the first phase of the Indian nationalist movement, it is more or less synonymous with the Congress movement. And it is divided on the basis of three phases. That is, the early nationalist. We call it as the moderates. It starts from 1885 to 1905. And they used constitutional methods to fight against the Britishers. When it comes to the second phase of the Congress, that is from 1905 to 1919, they are known as the aggressives. Their main aim was to attain Swaraj, Swadeshi, national education, and boycott. Then comes the third one as the Gandhian phase, that is from 1919 to 1947. Here, Gandhiji wants Purna Swaraj, or we call it as complete independence. So when we are talking about all these three phases, we are going to learn the first phase, the early nationalist, or we call it as the moderates from 1885 to 1907. Now, who were this early nationalists? There were many prominent members in the early nationalists, or we call it as moderates. And here, the early nationalists are the Dadabhai Nauroji, Surendranath Banerjee, W.Z. Banerjee, Ras Bihari Bose, then comes Subramania Iyer, and there are many prominent members were there as early nationalists. And they all worked for the liberation of India. Now, what are the objectives of this early nationalists? Their main objective was to awaken and organize organic public opinion. Then, to arouse political consciousness and national spirit of the Indians, and to educate and unite Indians on common political and economic issues. Okay? Then they wanted to establish a colonial form of self-government. These are main objectives of this early nationalist. What are the methods of struggle of the early nationalist? We need to learn what are the methods of struggle of the early nationalists. They used by resolutions and petitions. Now, by resolutions and petitions means this Congress people or the moderate people, they wanted to fight against the Britishers in a peaceful manner, to perform or to influence the Britishers through peaceful manner. So they used the method by resolutions and petitions to fight against the improper policies of the Britishers. At the same time, they were loyal to the Britishers. Then they used newspapers. By newspapers, they fought against the Britishers. How? They wanted to propagate their ideas, their views, and opinion through newspapers, like articles and essays. They use all these methods to fight against the Britishers and to make the people aware of what the Britishers are doing. That is how they used newspapers. Then comes by deputation. When we talk about the deputation, they sent representatives with their demands. So that is what they depute someone to present their problems in front of the Britishers. And also by raising issues in the Imperial Legislative Council. Now here, by raising issues in the Imperial Legislative Council, here Gopal Krishna Gokhale, he raised his views or the views of the Indians in front of the British Council. Okay, now let us learn about the prominent members of the Indian National Congress. Now, who all were the prominent members? The first one, Dadabhai Naoroji, then comes Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and the third personality, Surendranath Banerjee. And all these are the prominent members, or they were known as the Early Nationalists or the moderates. Okay, first when we talk about the Dadabhai Naoroji. Now, he was one of the pioneer statesmen of India. He was also known as the Grand Old Man of India. He was selected as an MP in the House of the Commons. He wrote his book, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. And also, he was selected as what is his role in Congress? When we talk about the role in Congress, before that we should know about, he was an unofficial ambassador in England. Okay, and in 1866, he founded the East India Association to fight against the Britishers. Then he was selected in the Indian National Congress 3 times. That is in 1886 AD, then 1893 AD, and also in 1906 AD. When we talk about the 1906 AD, his role was very popular, and he worked for the Indian people, and also he passed certain resolutions during or under the leadership of Dadabhai Naoroji, or under his presidentship in 1906. In 1906, under his presidentship, the Congress passed a resolution on Swadeshi, Swaraj, boycott, and national education. Now, he laid stress on the important rights of the Indian people, increasing employment in public services, increasing representation in legislative councils, right to just and friendly relations between England and India. Now, when I talk about the economic ideas, now he had a lot of ideas, or he wanted to give a lot of importance to the Indian people. So, on the basis of his drain theory, he talked about the facts and figures of the bleeding of wealth from India to England. Now, what is said in this? Salaries payable to the members of the Indian Council, dispatch of savings to England by British personnel posted in India, pensions to British officers, payments to the War Office in the maintenance of British troops in India, profits of the British trading agencies. So, he put all this into a volume, and that is what it came to be known as Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Now, let us learn about Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gopal Krishna Gokhale was born in 1866. He was a professor of history and economics in Ferguson College, Pune. He was also a great worker. He worked for the liberalism of the Indian people. And he was also known as, in Gandhiji's autobiography, he wrote Gokhale as his guru or political mentor. We can say that Gandhiji considered Gopal Krishna Gokhale as his guru. And this Gopal Krishna Gokhale started a society, a Servants of India Society, and it is formed in Pune. It is in Maharashtra in 1905. And he also left the Deccan Education Society to form this organization. And this society was organized, for what? For giving education for the whole people. And also he gave much importance to the sanitation, healthcare, and to fight against the social evils of untouchability and discriminations and domestic abuse. For that, he started the Servants of India Society. And that too, you should remember that he left the job as a professor and he joined he started the Servants of India Society. Now, what was the economic ideas of Gopal Krishna Gokhale? Gokhale had a good knowledge about the country's economy. Why? Because being an economist, he demanded radical changes in the fiscal policy and better jobs for the educated middle class. He also impressed upon the government to reduce land revenue. So, according to the economic views, he wanted the educated people should get the job, and also he impressed the government to reduce what? The land revenue of the people. Now, when we talk about Gandhiji and Gokhale, Gandhiji considered Gokhale as his political guru. Why? Because when Gandhiji was in South Africa, Gokhale went with Gandhiji to fight against the racial discriminations in South Africa. And also this Gokhale brought Gandhiji back to India to fight against the Britishers. So Gandhiji always tell he is his political guru, or we can call it as mentor when he was fighting for to get freedom for India. So when his views, or Gopala Krishna Gokhale's views, were against Bal Gangadhar Tilak, but still, when he died in February 15, 1915, Bal Gangadhar Tilak said, "This diamond of India, the Prince of Jewel, is taking eternal rest. So learn from him, or educate, or emulate from him." That is what Bal Gangadhar Tilak said about Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Now, the next person is Surendranath Banerjee. When we talk about Surendranath Banerjee was one of the earliest Indian political leaders during the British Raj. He founded the Indian political organizations and later on became a senior leader of the Indian National Congress. So, what was his role in public life? He began his career as a professor of English at the Metropolitan College in Calcutta. He set up his own school, which later developed into Ripon College. He was elected to the Calcutta Corporation and remained its member nearly 2 decades. And Surendranath Banerjee also elected to the Bengal Legislative Council for several times. So in 1921, he appointed as the Minister of the Self-Government and Health of Governor of Bengal. He was the first Indian to hold this post. Surendranath Banerjee also started Indian Association. I already told you in the previous classes, Surendranath Banerjee started Indian Association in 1876 AD. And the first Indian political organization of its kind. He used the organization to tackle the issues of age limit for the Indian students appearing for ICSE examination. He wanted, because they already reduced to 19. So he wanted to reduce from 21 to 19. That means he wanted, instead of 19, he wanted to have it 21. So the Indian Association started a movement against the also Arms Act and Vernacular Press Act. It was also known as the Gladstone of Indian history.